And welcome to something brand new here on Spin Move iRacing Network. Yeah, I'm bringing this thing back from the dead, and we can all thank my buddy over here, Ricky, for this. Welcome to the High Octane Podcast. This is a Friday night fuel production, and my name is Zach Woods, and over here I got Ricky Gonzalez. Say hello to the internet.
Hello, Internet. Yeah, man, I'm super excited to do this. We kind of reached out. I reached out to you, man, and just wanted to get you involved. Still, you've been a tremendous friend to me over the iRacing server, and I know I messaged Zach one day on Discord and say, "Hey, man, I want you to still be involved with the league. I'm thinking about doing this as well. What are your thoughts?" And he was on board, and here we are a week later and kind of scrambling to get everything put together, but very excited to start a podcast. I've listened to so many podcasts in the past, such as the Dell Junior Download and some of the Dirty Mo Media stuff that they do, and gone into other podcasts and super excited to do this with alongside you, my friend. And yeah, we're gonna kick this thing off right, and hopefully everybody who's in the league is tuning in. And I know I sent this over to some family and friends, and hopefully they're enjoying what they see so far.
Really excited to start a whole new podcast journey with you. Going to talk about an awesome league, Friday Night Fuel. We're going to talk a lot about the history of Friday Night Fuel and how that all came to be. And we have the Octane rundown over by Ricky on the other side of the screen. You can see some of the things we're going to talk about. Not everything that we're going to talk about tonight. There's a lot to go through here in our pilot episode. Super excited to go through all of this with you. Uh, Not everything you see here is going to be the finished product. Of course, with anything new, we're going to have to work out the wrinkles as we continue through this whole journey together. And I'm just super pumped to get this going with you. Uh, like I said, this is on a channel that has a history, a good foundational history of covering some awesome iRacing leagues, and was able to do a show with my friend David Mosbaugh, and was able to cover another league that we all participated in. And now 2 years later, 2 years since the last content on this channel happened, we have something new, which is the High Octane podcast. So we're going to talk to you guys about the league we're going to cover when it comes to this show, right? Because this is a Friday Night Fuel production, and so it would only serve us to talk about this league. That is the reason why this podcast exists. Uh, I'm going to hand it over to Ricky, as he's one of the admins for this league. He talked about it a little bit earlier about how I'm not as connected with this league as I would even remotely like to be. I love racing with the group that Ricky's going to talk about, and it's a huge part of my social life. But my PC decided it didn't want to work anymore, so I have to take a break and wait until the new year, till some finances get sort of shifted around, and we have the opportunity to maybe get a PC here at the house to run iRacing again. So, oh man, that's gonna be a lot of paints to download. So, not looking forward to that. I am looking forward to racing again with you. But tell the folks out there about Friday Night Fuel.
Yeah, so this is a league that me and a couple friends over at Titletown Racing, we were a part of another league. And one day that league ended, and we all looked at each other and said, guys, we have enough capabilities of running our own league. So we came up with a name. Our inaugural season was actually late last year, early last year. It was called HSRA. And then we kind of went through a rebranding phase where we wanted to get away from the, the the NASCAR emblem, I guess you can say, and so me and a couple admins had a couple turnover in the admin group, which is expected. Some people probably didn't get along, and some people did, and then it just caused confusion and chaos, and so we came up with this Friday Night Fuel. Loved the name when I first saw it, and a buddy of mine, John Gutekunst, sent me over the logo that he wanted to use, and let's go. Let's take this thing and let's run with it and see what we can do. Um, we've have a lot of friends that we've made over this server, Zach, as you know. And so to see us come together in a league and where other people are watching you, there's other leagues that are out there that tune in to watch us week in and week out. And to get messages all the time saying, hey, man, I love what you're doing over there. And gauging the interest of people that are out there just trying to race. And for us, man, it's a hobby. We don't come in and you could have a tough day at work. You could have a tough situation going on in your life. And we know when we turn the computer on, we get in that session, it's nothing else matters but being in that race car. So that's what I use this for. Is it's definitely a hobby. I know you do the same. And so yeah, we're able to take this thing and just run with it. So our goal right now is to let's solidify the Cup Series. Let's make this the granddaddy of them all, just kind of like other races that you hear that saying, right? But our goal eventually is to have an Xfinity Series. Let's have a Truck Series, and then maybe let's branch off. Maybe we do a Dirt League. Maybe we do a Sports Car Series. I don't know what that looks like, but for right now, we are focused on the Cup side, and we have a great group of admins that are a part of the group, and very excited to see where this thing takes off to. Season 2 started about a month ago, and we're going to get into some of that stuff here today, as you see on the rundown that we have here. But yeah, that's kind of the history of the league, man. And I know you're a part of this. You're a part of the initial admin group, and to have you see, you kind of know what goes on in the background, especially as a team owner. It's exciting to see how fast this thing has grown in a matter of 6 months.
Yeah, it's been really cool to be able to sit and watch this thing sort of morph into its own deal. We have a live chat here. Feel free to comment, and we'll address the live chats as they continue to run down here on the screen. It's about a 60-second delay, so if if you're really impatient, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do about it. So, uh, yeah, the Friday Night Fuel is a extension of a league that we had made as a group before, and ultimately is now a place that is experiencing some major growth, and there's a lot of ambition moving forward uh, to expand to different racing disciplines. So whether it be an Xfinity or a truck series, that's really exciting. It does require a lot of work, and I think what people don't understand about these many leagues that exist on the iRacing platform is that for the most part, this is a hobby. I see you, John. I see you're impatient. So Spencer, what's up? So um, the at the end of the day, we this is a passion project, right? Just like the High Octane podcast, it's a passion project. So any extra time that we might have gets poured into the development of a league, the development of cool stuff like this, where we can connect with our current roster, people that are thinking about joining the league. They can get a feel, an idea of what's going on. We're going to talk about the competition in this league all throughout this podcast. They can gauge, okay, can I ride with these guys, or when they take a look at the race and they see Ricky lapping the field 3 times, they might go, well, maybe this league's not for me. So it's definitely something that these folks are. I'm so excited for y'all out there in YouTube land to really attach onto this podcast so we can share with you our passion of Friday Night Fuel. And yeah, I used to be a part of that admin group. Uh, God had a plan, I think, because my work life has dramatically shifted in the last like 8 months. We've had a lot of uh, just a lot of growth where I work, and it's demanded a lot more of my time. So maybe there was like a little lightning bolt from heaven that killed my PC. So he's like, hey, get over there and do some work, and you can hold off on this stuff for a little bit. So really excited to see where the admin group's going, and where the league is focusing on growth. So right now, trying to develop a Cup Series out of a rebrand from HSRA into Friday Night Fuel. Well, Ricky, we have this shiny new toy called High
Yeah.
Octane Podcast, and I was very quick to say, this isn't a podcast. This requires a lot more work than a podcast. this is going to be a video series, a video commentary on everything that happens in Friday Night Fuel. Talk about the how High Octane podcast was born and what inspired you to make this happen, because this kind of stuff doesn't float out of nothing. It's inspired by other works, and of course you came to me. So, what got you really thinking about, hey, this could be a good addition to Friday Night Fuel?
Yeah. I've been a part of multiple leagues on this server, and some of them did their own podcasts, and so it was cool when that podcaster, whoever it was, they say your name and they pull up footage of the race of the previous week's race, and they see your cars out front, and like you said, you could be lapping the field 3 times. We don't know, but to see the storylines, the drama that could play out, and then just hear people talking about it. I mentioned earlier Dirty Mo Media. They do a really good job of covering the sport of NASCAR as a whole. I feel like um, I can do that. I've been a former broadcaster before with the Core Racing Network and with Dylan McDonald, and I know you've been a former broadcaster as well on the server. So I knew that we had the capabilities and the talent to do something just like this. And again, going back to the opening comments, watching that Dale Jr. download and going through that season of doing what Junior does week in and week out. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be here every week. I don't know with our schedule how that's going to work and how future episodes are going to come out, but I did get the passion from Dirty Mo Media 100%. And then, watching you do this for another league, me and you were chatting before we went live, and I said today at work. Now, if anybody from work is watching, yes, I did work, but we had some downtime today, and so I was able to go back, man, and watch some of your podcasts and see kind of how you did things and kind of see the vibe of how I need to prepare. And there's one thing about me, I'm all about preparation and being organized. So anybody who's watching who knows me personally, that's just who I am. I just love being prepared. I don't like walking into a situation where I don't feel prepared. But yeah, we reached out to Zach, and Zach was graciously acceptive of what we wanted to do, and he came up with the logo for it. And pretty much I loved everything that he sent over to me, and here we are. It's not even a week later, getting this thing rolled out to you guys, and um, definitely it's crazy how fast this thing can move and how fast we can get this thing going. And for me personally, man, I like a live podcast. I don't like when we have to record, because then, hey man, does this work for you? Does that work for you? We jump on, we do it live. It's genuine. You can feel the emotions out of it. And so this is going to be fun to see people's live reactions. I mean, we already got people in the chat with John and Spencer, two of our drivers, two of our admins actually that are a part of the series. And so I think that's going to be the fun part for me, is interacting with some of the fans, and some of the people that are a part of this, and seeing what they have to say, if they have any questions for us that we can answer.
Yeah, it certainly came together like frantically. We for context, we did talk about this more than a week ago, but it really started to pick up steam about a week ago, and the the logo and all that stuff. I mean, what you see right now in front of you is not even the finished product. The the screen that we have, we're pretty much, I think we're content with that. How we're capturing our video and how we're doing our audio, that's definitely going to be tweaked the more and more we do this. The logo, we have Wes Fuller, who's an awesome designer, working on something that Ricky and I fell in love with when we first saw it, but it wasn't quite right, and we I rolled the dice and got incredibly lucky on one that we're using right now, but it may not be the one that we're using in the future. So it's everything is all up in the air, and yet here we are. We have the opportunity, and the resources where we're able to put a show like this together, and I'm just super excited. Like you said, I don't get the opportunity to race with these guys. I would do anything to make sure that I would have the opportunity to interact with all of y'all. I miss racing with you guys so bad, and I feel like over the last few years, I've gotten more competitive, and now I'm going to take like 5-ish, 6-ish months off and just lose it all, and and then have to hop back again. So this is a good way for me to stay plugged in, and super grateful for the opportunity. And the other forums I get to do this kind of stuff on, it's prepared me well, where we can do this for Friday Night Fuel. So taking a look here at some of our chats. And you could feel it all the way from Fort Worth, and then we got just waiting on the comeback. Um, yeah, I miss racing with y'all, and this is this is going to be your dose of Zach Woods. If you've, I know y'all have been thinking about me every single second you've been out there. You've been wondering, oh, when's that guy coming back? So uh, this is as much as you're going to get for now until the new year. All right, let's get into the good stuff. We've spent
Okay.
we spent 15 minutes sort of introducing ourselves, taking a look at the podcast as a whole, talking very briefly about the history of Friday Night Fuel. Let's actually get into the updates of what's going on, because there has been a season that has happened, and there are drivers who are growing throughout even the first few weeks of the season. We got an awesome Rookie of the Year race going on. We have seen a multitude of different tracks and different car disciplines. So there's a lot to cover when it comes to the season update. So this is a Cup Series. So obviously the Super Bowl happens in the beginning. So let's talk about Daytona. It's on the iRacing server. It's done very well, where you feel the bumps, you understand the the objective in front of you with the kind of league that we have. Saving fuel can be a priority, and tires don't mean a whole lot. So let's unpack Daytona and think all the way back to week one of Friday Night Fuel.
Yeah, so week one happened all the way back on September 13th. The week before, the week of the 6th, so September 6th, we did our, I guess you can call it our Gatorade duel, Zach. And we had two winners there, and Gary Donaldson, who won duel number one, and Nathan Estep. So um, John T. Garrett and I believe it was Mark Parkhurst, they were on the front row for the event. We had qualifying, single car qualifying, and then we did our duels. And then that led into obviously the biggest race of the year, our Super Bowl, and that was won by Marcus Chafin. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Zach, I don't remember much of that race. I remember being in it, but I don't remember where I finished or what happened or where we got. Um, again, I don't remember. I guess that's me being old. That's me being 34 years old. I don't know, but um, the best thing about our league is we are adapting some of the NASCAR stuff that you see in real life. So such as when and you're in. So we're gonna roughly go through where we raced at, right? So again, Zach mentioned Daytona. Marcus Chafin came out on top, being our first winner of season two. So that automatically locks him in into the playoffs. So, and as I go through this list, I'm probably gonna jinx it because it's probably gonna happen this week. But we haven't had a repeat winner yet. And so there's so many spots available. We're taking the top 12, I think. Yeah, we're taking top 12. So if we have 13 different winners, that's going to cause chaos in the points, right? So, Marcus started off at Daytona, and then we went to the mile and a half at Kentucky. And this guy straight up dominated the event. I mean, he did everything right. I was throwing everything at the end to try to get to him. I finished second. I do remember that. The only reason I remember that is because the guy who beat me is a family member, and that would be my little brother, Mark Gonzalez. So we have a family rivalry. We always want to better each other when we get into these competition events, and he got the best of us that day, and he just ran away from the field. I remember one point in I think it was stage two, Zach, that he had an 8-second lead, and I'm thinking, well, I guess we're racing for second, and we were very lucky. I said this in the interview after the race. Very lucky and very fortunate to have been half a second to 6/10 of him. So I know we had the talent and the speed to keep up with a driver like that. And so that was good for Mark to get that win. Then we went to Charlotte, our longest race of the year, and by God, was it the longest race of the year. I believe we did 240 laps at Charlotte, and it felt like the 6 hours of Charlotte, basically. So Bryce Bohr came out on top of that. Then we went back to a plate track, New Atlanta. Nathan Estep won that, and then we did something different this past week. We wanted to put in a road course, but we wanted to put in a road course where nobody had advantage, right? You have your Watkins Glens, your Sonomas, your Road Americas, and did I already say? I think I already said circuit. Your Coda, Circuit of the Americas, right? So we threw in a monkey wrench to the schedule, and me and John and a bunch of the admins got together when we made the schedule, and I actually threw this on the schedule. Brands Hatch. I've saw this race in the eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola iRacing series, and so I thought, why not? Let's throw it on the schedule. Let's see what we can do and see how this works out. And thankfully, we didn't do the big course. We did the mile and a third Indy course, and John Gutekunst came out on top of that one. I know John's watching, and I believe John, if I was in that race, it would have been a heck of a race. Unfortunately, Ricky does have a life outside of iRacing, and so we decided to go to the Texas Motorplex and watch some NHRA drag racing. And so, um, very very happy John won. We were in a practice session, me and John together, and for about 30 minutes he could just not figure this place out. He was asking questions and whatnot, and so I kind of helped him get prepared for that event, and he drove phenomenal. I was sitting in the grandstands at the racetrack, tuning in, watching that event, and seeing John just put on a masterful clinic and pull away from those guys. I think at one point I saw he was 20 seconds in front of second. And just to see that improvement that he made in only 24 hours at a road course where, let's be honest, Zach, none of us are good at road course racing. And we'll say the dreaded Wes Fuller quote, I hate road courses, right? And to see him just walk away with that in short shift and the way that he had the breaking points on par, phenomenal drive by him to lock himself into the playoffs.
Yeah, John here in the chat, absolute shocker of a race. We have some other folks in here. Looks like Alex Villanueva's in here, the Montana Texan, listening live. So good to have you in here. And we have uh, Holden, yeah,
Yep.
Holden's in here. So yeah, good to have all of y'all in here. Keep on chatting. Brands Hatch, man, a 1.9 mile racetrack. It's got 6 corners, but on the IndyCar course, it's a long, sweeping track, and especially in those next gens, I can't imagine keeping the car underneath you when it comes to high speeds and those gradual turns. Uh, that could be a bit of a handful. So that's one that Zach doesn't. I'm not weeping that I missed that. So good, good stuff.
Yeah, and so very fortunate to have that on the schedule. And you can see, as Till said, I blame Ricky for Brands Hatch. 100% that was me throwing it on the schedule. I was super excited. And then come to find out, I couldn't even race it. And that kind of just, I was like, dang, I wanted to do that road course really bad. So um, it's all good. We have another road course coming up in the playoffs, the Chicago Street Course. And I will tell you, Zach, it's not my favorite track I want to go to. I'm gonna be honest with you. So we can blame John Gutekunst for that one, Till, for placing that one on the schedule.
Oh well, there you go. So uh, can't wait for the high octane episode previewing the Chicago Street Course. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some teams to watch. We're still talking about some season update things and trying to get into um, what's going on throughout the season. There's a multitude of teams here in Friday Night Fuel, some that are brand new to us as a group who've been together for quite a long time. And the cool thing about iRacing leagues is that folks can get real creative about how they brand their team and how much they really buy into team racing. there are some teams that take a lot of pride in making sure that each driver is performing at a very high level, gaining a lot of points, and sort of keeping track of like the team championship stuff. And they're all in on that kind of stuff. You mentioned at the top of the show, I am also a team owner, and even though I'm not there, and most of my drivers aren't either. So we got uh, Paul Owens, who's living the dream, making his way on some real life NASCAR stuff. So good for him, and we all are rooting for him and are envious of him. But he he's doing a lot of awesome life stuff. Cody Mitchell on Spin Move Racing is a brand new dad, and he's man, he's all in. I see posts about his little one all the time, and really cool to see him come into his own as a dad, and seeing all those creative car salesman commercials he also does online too. That's something to watch. He's a good follow. He's a good follow on Facebook. And then my best friend David Mosbaugh, he's on our team as well. He's a part of the core group of guys that came together to be a part of Titletown Racing and HSRA and now Friday Night Fuel. So and then there's me, and we don't care about team points. We've never been a team-oriented uh, group in terms of going to get points. We're more of a okay. There's one guy in this group, Paul, who when he's here, he drives circles around us. So how can we get better as a team? And it just depends on if you're a fan. What kind of team are you rooting for? Are you going to root for a team who is trying to get that team championship? Or are you going to root for more of that underdog that's trying to grow throughout the totality of the season, and you're rooting drivers on as they progress more through track discipline? So, Ricky, let's talk about some teams here in
Okay.
Friday Night Fuel that folks might be interested in.
Yeah, there's a couple teams, and I have the list pulled up that I have. 1776. Those that team is going to be consisted of Cam Bennett, Mark Parkhurst, John Gutekunst, who's the team owner, Nathan Estep, and John Garrett. Then we have ALR, who has Marcus Chafin, Ryan Moutre, Gary Donaldson, and Bryce Bohr. And then we have JST Racing, John Bell, Spencer Till, and Kirby Caputa. We have Oot Renovations Racing. Man, say that 10 times fast, Zach. Which is Scott Victory and Jim Oot. We have Team Send It, David Mayo, Bill Sleep. And then, in my opinion, the best team in the league. That'll be Titletown Racing. That's myself, Brett Bullard, Wes Fuller, and Mark Gonzalez. Then we have, you already mentioned your team, Spin Move Racing. And then we have Sub-Zero Sim Racing, which is Jake Stefanski, Eric Hudson, and Wade Burris. And we have a couple drivers who don't have a home. That would be Greg Wood Sr., Landon Bednars, and Christopher Pendel. But I do believe Pendel now races with Oot Renovations. I could be wrong on that though. So yeah, we have a lot of talent, man, that is in this league from 1776 to TTR to JST, ALR. There's a lot of stiff competition that's going to be involved in this team championship, and I'll give you some insight to what we like to do at Titletown Racing, and our goal is obviously let everyone lead a lap for us, and then if we can help each other during the practice session, hey, this is what I'm doing with the car, this is where I'm throttling up at, this is my braking point. You see that thing on the wall? That's where I'm braking, and so we do a really good job of helping each other out, trying to get faster. Mark may be the quiet one of the group, which is odd to me because he's the fastest one. So you think he would be the most vocal on trying to help us get faster. But the one group I am looking at, Zach, that I think that could make a strong push for that team championship would be ALR. That group with Chafin, Moutre, Donaldson, and Bohr. I believe that they would do a phenomenal job of getting that team a championship here in season 2. And then I think 1776, JST, and then Titletown. If your guys would show up, I would put you in that conversation, but I don't think the way that their lifestyle is right now at the moment. We mentioned this is a hobby for us. Real life stuff comes first, but I think those would be the three teams that I would definitely keep my eye on. Three or four, I think I said four teams that I'd keep my eye on as this season plays out.
Yeah, it's really neat to see how throughout different leagues, right? We've been competing with some of these groups for a long time. I mean, I know Spin Move sort of got absorbed by Titletown there for a hot minute, and now is a sister team to Titletown. And but other than that, speaking apart from that, we've raced with guys from 1776 in other disciplines across other leagues, and we know some of these other drivers who have come in from different leagues and are now a part of new teams. So my question for you, Ricky, is when forming a league, how important is it to sort of keep those connections with drivers from across separate leagues that you've participated in as a driver? Now you're making your own league, and you
Yep.
go, okay, I know who are high quality people, good racers. I'm going to reach out to them. How important is it to sort of keep tabs on those folks that you make connections with in the iRacing platform?
Yeah, for me, it's always been about relationships. And whatever I do, if I've made friends on the server, bringing family members over to join, I've always valued relationships. And so to keep in touch with the guys that we've raced in previous leagues was very important to me. And it's because I knew in order to get this thing going, you have to have people that A, are interested in racing, and B, are you going to put on a good product? And I believe season one, we did that. We accomplished some of that. That's why we see some of the drivers now coming more and are more and more interested in joining what we're doing over here. And it's a collaborative effort. Me and John, who is another admin who's in the chat, we do a phenomenal job of just collaborating with each other. Hey, man, I'm thinking about this. What are your thoughts? Yeah, okay. All right, let's do it. Hey, man, I don't know. I don't think this is going to work. I don't know. Okay, let's reevaluate. Let's see what we can do to make it better. But to answer your question, yeah, we reached out to other people who did other leagues, and uh, gratefully they came into it and gave us a chance. And some of them stuck around after season one, and we did see some turnover, just like every other league happens, right? You're gonna see people go through the door, come back, go back, leave, come back, leave, come back. That's just it is what it is. Um, so for us to see where we are with gaining more and more interest, I think this thing is going to take off. And again, starting this podcast is probably another great thing that we have going on for the league. It's going to get people interested to tune in and week out, or bi-weekly or bi-monthly, or however we decide to do this thing. And um, for me, it's gonna continue to grow. It's just gonna grow and grow and grow. And when you see a competitor league reaching out to one of our admins saying, "Hey, man, I hear you got a good thing going on Friday," that should speak testament of what we got going on over here. Speaks of the people that we have, the quality of racers, and the quality of racing product that we put on the racetrack. That speaks to what we have going on here. So very excited to see some of those guys jump over and give us a chance, and hopefully everything works out with them, hopefully winning races. I know I'm a competitor at heart. I want to win every time I'm in this car, no matter what. So it's fun going back and watching the broadcast. It's fun also going back and watching some of the Twitch streamers who stream their race and see like, hey man, you can't let this dude take the top, because if he clears me, he's gonna walk away with this. So don't think I forgot about that, John Gutekunst. But so it's fun. We have fun with it, man. There's gonna be heated conversations. There's gonna be heated moments, but at the end of the day, we all know why we are here.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. It's awesome. We have a really good group, a solid group of guys that have raced with each other for quite a while across different racing disciplines, across different leagues, and now it's all just sort of come together at Friday Night Fuel. So it's really neat to see all that happening. We're gonna transition now into a points update, which means we're gonna go away, and there's only one way to do this, right? Um, Ricky, you can keep your mic on and stuff, and we can talk
Yep.
underneath the points graphic. But I'm gonna pull up the points graphic here, up on the screen. You're gonna be able to see. what's what here at Friday Night Fuel. There's a lot of neon green on this sucker, let me tell you. And as a Seahawks fan, that speaks to my soul. So let's take a look here. 5 weeks in, and we got a title chase right now. And you said with the win in your in system, this is this is just a small part of a very large picture.
Yeah, you can see again, if you look in that wins column, there is not a 2 anywhere on that screen. So you can see 5 races in, 5 different winners. And I believe if this driver shows up, he actually was with me last Friday. That would be the driver of the 88, Mark Gonzalez. He would actually be leading the points, I think, if he showed up last week to Brands Hatch. And so you can see now John Gutekunst's off to a phenomenal start to his season. I believe he's pretty much been a podium driver in all 5 starts, and he's getting interviewed week in and week out. He's probably one of the favorites. I see Marcus Chafin in second. He's actually tied for second with his teammate Bryce Bohr. Then we have Brett in fourth, who's leading the charge for us at Titletown. Then Wes, Mark, and myself rounding out the 8th spot. Nathan Eastup is 9. Moutre is 10th. John T. Garrett 11th. And then Wade Burris takes the final playoff spot right now. If we were to start the playoffs today, those would be your 12 drivers that would be racing for a championship. I'm going to go back to the top real quick. You see that 4 races and 5 starts, right? In 5 starts, he has 4 top 10s and 4 top 5s. I'm not a baseball guy like that, Zach, but that's a pretty good batting average. If you're looking 4 out of 5, you're getting top 10s and top 5s.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of consistency. And that's what you need. You need with stage racing. You have to make sure that you are consistent all throughout the race. You can't just lay back anymore in this new era of stage racing. You can't preserve your equipment to the end and make a frantic run to the front because at the end of the day, even if you do get a top 5 finish, you might not be good on points. It might be just a wash for you that day. So good to be able to make sure that you are collecting stage points, as you can see all the way towards the edge of this graphic. Stage points matter. They absolutely matter. All the way through this list, if you can take a look at the very bottom, there he is, Zach Woods on the very bottom. Yeah, yep, there he is in all of his glory down there with 7 points. I think I ran one lap and then the PC decided it didn't want to do this anymore. So just wanted to throw some recognition to me at the bottom. I'll tell you what, Ricky, as we get rid of this points graphic, as somebody who has raced with this group, I take a look at the points 5 weeks in, and it gets me really excited to see the amount of parity that we have in this league. But as somebody who, I'm not a up there winning kind of driver, but I am a competitor that likes to be in the mix. That gives me hope to see a league that has this much parity. If you're in the mix, if you're in the conversation, you got a decent shot to walk away with a win.
Absolutely, and that's why we created this too. Is all of us have a competitive spirit in us, and so we all want to beat each other, right? We have bragging rights for the week if we do end up at the top on the podium. And one thing I do want to mention, Zach, we don't do the normal stage racing that you see on the real NASCAR Cup Series side. We do one stage, and that's our halfway break.
Yeah.
And so stage points now are even more critical as you go through the season because you have to accumulate those stage points just because, yeah, I know I butchered that word. You have to. If you don't, you're not in a good spot for the whole race. And so us at Titletown, we kind of pride ourselves on trying to get stage points. That way we know how pivotal they are with that season championship going on. And so, yeah, it's crazy to see the strategy that goes into it now. Instead of getting your normal 2 stages, okay, do I pit here and take tires or do I pit there and take tires? So there's a lot of games that are being played in these races, and I'm lucky to have been a part of 4 of them where we've had the right strategy calls there at the end, and you just want to be in the mix, right? After that stage break, we know that's when the race starts. That's when the true we're going to get cautions. People are going to be more aggressive. It's just nature of the beast. And so the first half, a lot of people are just learning. Okay, what can I do? Where can I push the car? Where can I, in a long run, can I really do this and sustain the speed that I have throughout the event? And so to see all the games that are being played is really intriguing for me. And yeah, we're just going to keep the hammer down, and we're just going to see where we end up. And back to your point, anybody in this league can win. It's not just one driver is going to come in and win 12 races. I can literally see 13, 14 drivers winning a race and then having that cluster of, okay, who has the more points to lock themselves into the championship rounds, right? So it's going to be an interesting season, interesting storylines, and I can't wait to see this unfold as we're only 5 weeks into the season.
So as we bring the points graphic back up here, Ricky, there is another story that happens within every league's point system. That's the battle for the Rookie of the Year. So walk us through here. Who are we paying attention to in the Rookie of the Year race?
Yeah, that's going to be another race that we're definitely going to keep our eyes on. So for us, a rookie qualifies if you're new to iRacing, or if you are just new to the league and we don't know a whole lot about you and we don't know the kind of racer that you are. So we have John Bell, Scott Victory, Jacob Stefanski, Landon Bednars, Gary Donaldson, Jim Oop, Chris Pendell, and Wade Burris as our 8 drivers who are in that rookie class. And I believe, yeah, Wade Burris right now currently leads that Rookie of the Year standing, sitting in the 12th position. But he only has a 3-point lead, Zach. So we know we've been talking about anything can happen in this league, anything can happen in these races. He has a 3-point. That's 3 positions on the racetrack where Chris can make up. And if he gets stage points, that's even going to make that race even tighter. And so I believe this is probably going to be, I know we've only had one true rookie class, but this might be the tightest rookie battle that we've had in the 2 seasons that we've been a part of doing this Friday Night Fuel stuff.
Yeah, really interesting stuff there for the Rookie of the Year. We're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that as the season progresses, as we're going to be able to bring that content to you as the season goes along. It is a source of pride for a new driver to walk into a brand new league. One of the hardest things to do for any driver when it comes to just generally a new season in a league. You don't even have to be new to the league. You could just be a returning driver. Um, is adjusting to the field, right? And folks like you and me, we have a leg up on the competition because well, we've raced with a good number of these folks, and so we know how they're going to battle, and we know what their preferences are. But for these rookies, they're learning from nothing. They got to start from scratch and find their place in the field. It's a really compelling story as these folks try to carve out their own story in a brand new league while also minding their P's and Q's with all the other drivers.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? You come into a league where you know people, but you don't know everybody. And you said it best. I've raced with these people. You've raced with these people. You know their do's and don'ts, what ticks them off, and what you're gonna have to do to get around some people. Uh, like Bryce Bohr, for instance. Everybody knows, at least on my team, I call him the Ryan Newman of the league because every time I get around him, he is so hard to pass. And whether it's laying it on your door or side drafting you down the back straightaway or front straightaway, he makes it hard and to get around him. But when you do get around Bryce, you have that weight of accomplishment and the weights are off your shoulders of, okay, I can beat this dude. And then you try to pick on the next guy who's out up front. And some of these guys that are in the rookie class, I've had a chance to race with a couple of them, not all of them, but now since they've joined the league, I've had a chance to race with all of them, right? So they are minding their P's and Q's. They know who they're going to race hard. They know who's going to be difficult to get around. And for them to just stay out of trouble, I think is going to be key for them. And trying to just maintain speed. And some of them they're probably new to the asphalt side. I know we have a couple dirt racers in here, and it's not knocking the dirt side of things at all, but it's a totally different discipline when you go from dirt to asphalt. When you go from sliding that right rear are all the way around the corner to now I have to lean on the right front, or maybe I have to lean on that right rear a little bit more than I need to. It makes it interesting to see how these guys adapt. And I know some of them are using this as a stepping stone to learn more of the asphalt side. And so I'm excited to see some of the drivers and see how they come out throughout the season. And I believe that some of them will win a race. I think one rookie is going to end up winning a race. We have so many crapshoot races on the schedule where it's plate track racing, 2 mile races, short track racing, and I believe the dirt guys would do phenomenal on the short track stuff because that's what they're used to. There's really no dirt track that's kind of like your Daytona on the server, right? So, um, interested to see how these guys play out throughout the year, and I believe we will see a rookie in victory lane one night or multiple nights. You never know.
Well, that's a pretty bold prediction. I want to hear from the chat. What do you think about Ricky's prediction of a rookie making their way to victory lane this season in Friday Night Fuel? That'll be cool to see that happen in the chat. For any rookie out there, by the way, that would like a tip about a certain driver that the do's and don'ts. I hear that John Goodikins loves bump drafts at New Hampshire, especially going into turn 3. So, make sure you play into that if that opportunity ever comes. So, uh, can't wait to see that chat there. But let's move on.
Okay.
Moving on from Rookie of the Year stuff, we only have a couple things left. We've talked about everything that has been. Now let's talk about what is going to be for Friday Night Fuel. Um, Oh, here's John. Without a doubt, the rookie class is stacked, and they're going to get better by the week. So, good input there from John. Um, we're going to take a look forward. John, LOL, absolutely not.
I hear he's gonna like Martinsville, so I'll try to give him a bump draft at Martinsville, and I'm gonna see how that works out. So, well,
I
it's either A gonna work or B, I'm probably gonna get something.
Out of all the guys in the league, I would never lie to you. So, let's take a look here, moving forward in this season, because man, I could talk about that race forever. But let's take a look at a race that we're gonna see a lot of driver personality come out at Michigan. This is a great opportunity to see how drivers approach long sweeping ovals that you can run pretty much anywhere and make time if you know how to do it. Ricky, let's break down Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, Michigan, a 2 mile track. I know that a certain driver who's already been in our chat, he's from that area, and so I know anytime you have a home track, you want to obviously win it or run really, really well. So for me, that and we'll see this track later on in the schedule. That would be Texas Motor Speedway, and that's just something about your home track, man. If you can do well at your home track, it's going to set you up for success, and it could possibly give you momentum going into the next several races. But going back to Michigan, it's a sister to what we had in California, which is unfortunately no longer there. And then it's also, I don't know if you know this, Zach, I'm going to throw a little Texas knowledge on you. There's a track down in College Station that once upon a time hosted IndyCar. I think USAC was there, ARCA was there, and some Cup races were there. That would be the Texas World Speedway. And so a lot of similarities with those tracks when you come to Michigan. You can run from the line, from the apron, the line. I always call it the line. You can run down almost to the apron all the way up to the wall. There's 5 or 6 grooves that you can span out and still have room to race each other. For me personally, I believe this place is going to be a fuel mileage race. The guy is going to, you go ahead and lead. I'm going to tuck right behind you, and I'm going to half throttle it down the straightaways. And while you have to go, I'm just going to throw a number out there because I haven't tested this week. While a guy can go 30 laps, I'm going to go 35. And so now I've expanded that fuel window where now I'm possibly going to have to pit later. But hey, I'm going to have fresher tires, and I'm going to have a great opportunity possibly get stage points. And so we're going to see a lot of bump drafting. We're going to see a lot of people coming off of turn 4, going down to the bottom of the racetrack when they cross the start-finish line and swoop them right back up. You're going to see guys that do at Daytona and Talladega, where the last lap happens, they're Indy carring it down the back straightaway, weaving left and right to break the draft so nobody gets runs on them. And you're possibly going to see a lot of blocking to get obtain that track position, right? And then the dreaded, we all know this happens, the green flag pit stop, coming down pit road, making sure you don't speed. I will raise my hand. I have been caught speeding already this season, but those are some of the things that Michigan brings to the table. And so hopefully we put on a good product Friday night, and it'd be interested to see anybody, I believe, can win this race. When you have a 2 mile, a big track like this, I believe if you're in the game and if you're there at the end and you're in the top 3 or 4, maybe even 5, I think you're going to have a shot to win it. Now it's the guys who are aggressive at the side draft, how to side draft, when to side draft, on the back straightaway. That's going to be key as well. And then whenever the caution flows, what do you do? Do you come down pit road and fill it up, or do you maintain your track position and trying to stay up front and not be caught up in the back with, as I call it, the squirrels?
Spencer brings up a point that I want to touch here. I want to talk about two aspects of the next gen car that definitely become a huge part of the conversation when it comes to these kinds of racetracks. Spencer brings it up. You better worry about tires. And here at Michigan, it eats up tires depending on how you run the race car. I know, Ricky, you are all about quarter entry, making sure that you preserve longevity in your tires. And also, when it comes to groove selection, that can also dictate how hard you work on whatever tire you want to lean on in the corner, throttle management, and things like that. How important is it for maybe these rookie drivers who, we've talked about earlier, we got some guys that are coming from the dirt discipline, coming over now to Michigan, the big sweeping racetrack here, this 2 mile asphalt track, to approach it in such a way where they're thinking about tire management, because if you abuse them early, you're going to be hurting later on in the run.
Yeah, if I'm a rookie in this league, and this is one of the things when I got on the server, this is what I do. So I can't speak to everyone that who does this. I usually get behind one of the fast guys. If I see your time is one of the top 5 on the leaderboards, I'm gonna find you on track, and I'm just gonna ride behind you. Now I know there's factors of aero blocking and what you got to do when you're trying to be in somebody's air and all that stuff. But I'm seeing what that guy's doing. Where's he lifting? Where's he braking? Where's he getting back into the throttle? Is he shifting? With the new aspect of this next gen car, does he shift in the corner after 15, 20 laps? And so for me, I've always prided myself on giving up speed, corner entry, and then trying to maintain speed from center off, because so many times, Zach, you've probably seen this, and some of our viewers out there have too. People charge that corner as hard as they can, and then next thing you know, from their exit from center off is just brutal, and it's absolutely atrocious when they're getting on the back straightaway or the front straightaway. And so, yeah, I've always prided myself on trying to just maintain the car. And the best advice I ever got from somebody was, don't race the people around you, race the track. And so I tried not to get involved with racing people that are side by side and all that stuff. Usually just let them go, and hopefully in 15, 20 laps, I'm passing them right back. Unfortunately, that strategy didn't work out earlier at Kentucky when Mark went by us, but I feel like that's a big key to making sure you stay up front. And for some of our rookies, that's probably the advice I can give you is just go out there and learn from somebody. Go out there and get behind somebody and see what you can do. And I won't give what I do in practice, because obviously we have competitors in the chat, but there's a certain method to my madness when I get into a session, and I do A, B, and then I go back to A to make sure that, hey, this is what I have going into the race. And then at some point we do make a long run in practice. You're going to have to. You practice your pit road entry and all that stuff just to make sure, hey, this is where I'm going to brake for coming to pit road and all that stuff. So if I'm a rookie, I'm just learning. You got to learn. And I believe if you do that, you're going to have a good chance of being there at the end.
Uh, uh, Paul Owens ism, champions are made on exit, and he's all about making sure that you're setting up the exit of the corner as well. And The other thing I want to talk about when it comes to Michigan, especially with the next gen car, and you briefly touched about it, is making sure that you are not getting put in a position where you are aero tight. And Michigan is one of those places where in the corner, if you got somebody in front of you, that car is going to be dramatically more angry than
Yeah.
than you being by yourself. How important is it as a driver to sort of diversify your portfolio when it comes to making sure that you have different angles of corner entry? You understand, okay, I like to run this line, but I can also run this line and this line effectively in case if there's somebody in front of me.
Yeah, that's going to be another key, right? Is where do you put your race car if you want to try to pass somebody during the race? Um, and that's where the practice you got to be able to run the high side if you need to. I know everybody knows, everybody wants to hug the bottom of the racetrack. Everybody wants to save as much tire as they can, right? But in order to pass people, you're going to eventually have to use that high side. And so when you do get behind a car in this next gen car, and Zach, I know you're a huge fan of this car. I know you love everything about it. That's chat. That's just me being sarcastic if y'all didn't catch that. But um, it's it's it it's hard. You get behind somebody and you get into that little air gap and you're stuck. You're pretty much there where you can, and the best thing I can tell you is try to leave a little bit of left front where the air is still coming into the front of the race car and you're able to still turn and not overturn it. I will say the problem child at this track will be the exit of turn two. People drifting up and smacking that outside wall. The way that I enter the corners here at Michigan is yeah, it stresses the right front out, but at the same time, it sets me up beautifully for the exit of two where I'm not plowing and brushing the wall or any of that stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see who takes that line, who doesn't take that line. How do you move the car to pass somebody to set them up, maybe down the back straightaway or the front straightaway, and possibly set them up for turn one. That way you still have the preferred groove going down there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many race cars go from the top of the racetrack to the bottom of the racetrack. You know, I know one team that prides themselves on running the wall. That would be ALR. Every time we go to a track where you got to run that high groove, believe me, they're going to be the first ones to be up on that wall, and they're going to test it out to see where they can gain an advantage at. So, yeah, this is going to be a tricky place. 240 miles. I'm going to
Yep,
pull
it's
up the
the
so
Giro
100.
the
Yep, go ahead.
the Gyrotech. I hope I'm saying that right. 240.
Euro, the Euro tech.
Eurotech. I'm sorry. 240 at Michigan. So, yeah,
Yeah.
making sure you're gonna bebop around this racetrack 120 times because it's a 2 mile racetrack, and of course at that 120 mark you got to cut that in half. Got to pay attention, right? Get those stage points right there in the middle, and maximize your point day. You know what, Ricky? We've been talking for almost an hour, and I think that was the first time
Okay.
we've managed to talk over each other, and that's really good. So we've we behaved. We did really good. G Girotech, man, phonetically, dude, John, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. Even though most of my work, I look at phonetic spellings and things like that. I stink at them so much. So let's take a look at track track position or predictions for this race. It is again going to be uh, a race of attrition at some point when it comes to car management. You talked about those guys that are able to get up there towards the wall. You said ALR, goodness gracious, is I'm falling apart here at the end. ALR is a team to be on the lookout for. Um, Keeping in mind that there's no new winners. You put here in my rundown that Zach picks a winner, which I think points to Zach's not racing, so Zach gets to pick a winner. And if Ricky was picking a winner, he'd pick himself every week.
That's what. So I stole this from College Game Day. So anybody who watches College Game Day on Saturday mornings, when they get to Kirk Herbstreit, he doesn't pick a winner, right? He goes through his keys of the game because he's calm the game, and so um, that was my thought process.
Yeah.
If Zach tries to predict it, and then I just go through some what's going to be key um, at Michigan for a driver to win. And so for me, Till nailed it in the chat. Uh, tire wear, tire fall off. That's going to be key. Who are the guys that have great short run pace and then they just fall off after 20, 25 laps in the car? Who are the guys that are saving their stuff that maybe fall back a little bit and then make the push on the second half of the run to get where they need to get to set them up for that green flag pit stop, or to just put them in a good track position state for when that stage break does happen, or if a caution falls their way. Um, what do you do, Zach, when a caution does come out and there's about 10 laps before the stage? Do you come down and use a set? Just say, screw it, I'm going to use this set now from the stage and then put new tires? Or am I just going to come down, take fuel, so all I have to do is take less fuel at the pit break, and so now I'm in a better position than the guy who has to take a full load of fuel, right? So there's a lot of things, a lot of factors that are going to come around, and I'm interested to see who plays that strategy card to the best of their ability to come out on top in victory lane.
Spencer Teal, Ricky is like Denny Hamlin and picks himself. So, uh, so we're now at the last point of the show where I get to pick a winner for this week. And let me tell you, the only reason why I am picking this individual to win this race is because I believe in my heart of hearts that the new winner thing is still going to be intact. And if this individual had a win at some point before in this season, I would not pick him. I'm picking Ricky Gonzalez to go win at Michigan, baby. So he doesn't have to pick himself. I'm gonna do it. So I look. There are guys in this league that I know are quick, and the only thing that I could see standing in the way, I also look at guys like John Gutekunst who are also pretty quick here. Um, the only thing that stands in the really fast guys' way here, because they know how to manage tires, they know how to get in a different groove, they know how to put their car in those positions. We talked about the keys. I don't think Michigan's that kind of racetrack where a rookie's going to come out of nowhere and win it. I think that you got to know how to handle this car at this racetrack, so it's going to benefit those veterans. And I'm also a little superstitious, so I really want to see a new winner happen. I think the only thing that's going to bite maybe somebody who's up there at the front is speeding on pit road. So Ricky, this can't be the week. You can't do it. I got to start 1-for-1 here. John, boo.
Yeah. No pressure for me, huh? But first episode, first of this podcast, and the guy picks me to win the race. So maybe I don't show up Friday. So maybe you go 0-for-1.
How dare you? So you're my pick for week one. Week one for us here. We're already well into an awesome season here at Friday Night Fuel. Super pumped that we're able to have this podcast. It all came together. People are watching. Folks have commented. For all of you in the chat, thank you so much for coming on in and making this a fun thing for us to do. Not every episode's going to be over an hour long. We had to talk about why this came to be and the history of the league and all that stuff. So probably like 30 or 40 minutes is probably going to be our forte here. And you're going to catch us right here on Spin Move iRacing Network. This is something that David and I started years ago to cover the awesome leagues we get to participate in. Super pumped I get to have this live show here with my buddy Ricky. Hopefully winner Ricky by the time Friday rolls around. I'm only going to root for that a couple times this year, so he can't get too big of a head. So any final words for us here tonight on High Octane?
Yeah, just appreciative of everybody who's tuned in, everybody who's participated in the chat. Thank you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Mr. Woods's and Mr. Modspal's Spin Move iRacing Network. We're going to come in and try to do this thing on a weekly basis, just depending on where I am in the world, as everybody who's close to me, and they know I travel for work a lot. So we haven't had to do much traveling this part of the year. We're starting to get into our slow season, but definitely appreciative of you, Zach, jumping on board and getting all this stuff ready, and for us to put on a product where I feel like not only our drivers but some of our fans that are out there are enjoying the most. And appreciative of everybody who's tuned in tonight. And hopefully, when we come back, we can say, yeah, Ricky Gonzalez locks himself into the playoffs.
Yeah, so anybody watching who isn't affiliated with Friday Night Fuel, go follow them on Instagram. Make sure that you're connected with them in Discord. We'd love to be able to have you to be a part of the community. Subscribe, like, comment, and subscribe to this video on this channel so that you don't miss a thing when it comes to Friday Night Fuel action. Brought to you by High Octane Podcast. Really, really pumped. You're now all fueled up and ready to go. Ready to watch an awesome race here on Friday night. Go find out where all this can happen. Ricky, do you know where these folks can tune in, perhaps,
Yeah,
for
you
Friday
can.
Night Fuel?
Yeah, so the broadcast is going to be on Snake Bitten Gaming, and that's going to be on Facebook. So anybody who has a Facebook, I know a certain person that I live with got locked out of their Facebook. So don't get locked out of your Facebook just for that reason. You want to be able to tune in and see if Zach predicts the winner correctly, which I don't think will happen, but we're going to give it our all and try to make ourselves playoff eligible. But that's where you can tune in. Appreciate the broadcaster who's come on board. That's Jeremy Parker, and so y'all go like him on Facebook. He does multiple races throughout the week. I know he does a good friend of ours, Zach. That's Brett Billards and Greg Wood Jr. They do their league through them as well. So if you want to check in on some other racing action, be sure to tune in to Snake Bitten Gaming, and you spell it just how I said it, Snake Bitten Gaming. So tune in, and we'll see Friday night what is going to happen.
Well, y'all, you're all fueled up and ready to go. I hope we can talk to you again next week about how Ricky wins Michigan. Until we meet again, my name's Zach, and for my buddy Ricky, have a good night, everybody.